Hi everyone, Mo here from DocuSign. I'm a solutions architect. Really excited about today's session. We're looking at a great new capability called Web Forms. And what we're really doing is digging a bit deeper into it to see how we can really get the most benefits out of it, especially when we're looking to expand its capabilities with a great mobile experience, including identity verification and automation as well. And today I've invited a colleague and a great friend of mine, Martin, to the call. G'day, Martin.
Hey, Mo. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. So yeah, my name is Martin Ripple. I'm a solution consultant at DocuSign in Australia. Been with the company about 8 years now and currently focusing primarily on our enterprise customers.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Let's jump right into it, shall we?
Cool. Awesome. So going to go through just one slide really, and then jump straight into the functionality. So as I've said, I've been working a lot with our enterprise customers, and a few things have really come up when we've been talking about web forms. The first is that the big challenge many of our customers have is that they have a lot of paper or PDF-based forms that are complex, hard to navigate, and this often results in human error and a pretty poor user experience at the end of the day. So the solution for that often is having a mobile-friendly experience, and that's really critical to many of our customers' digital strategies. Now, with that, though, the challenge is that developing and maintaining a lot of custom forms is really expensive and time-consuming for them. So enter web forms. Now, with web forms, you have a WYSIWYG designer that makes it really fast and easy to build these forms, just drag and drop. And it also means you can use a lot less expensive resources to build and maintain the forms. The web forms you create are natively mobile friendly as well. And of course, through the conditional logic that you can put into them, you can really simplify the navigation and the data capture throughout the web form. And through that, actually drive exactly who needs to sign the document and when.
That's amazing. So a really simple solution, zero code, zero resource bottlenecks, and a lot cheaper to implement and deploy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. So let's keep moving then. So the first thing we're going to look at is the end user customer experience. So with web forms, when we create them, we essentially get a URL. You can host wherever you need. And as the customer, it's what you would expect, really quick and easy to go through. I'm easily guided through along the top of the page. And in the form, I can easily go ahead and have different conditions. So if I am an existing facility in this particular form, I'm going to have some required fields I need to complete. Nice and simple. Moving forward, of course, you can also use radio buttons in a similar way, again, driving conditional fields on that form that then have some required data entry. Once we get through, of course, we can also go ahead and include some basic validation on the fields to make sure we're getting the data back in the right format that we know how to process, for example, a date in this case. Going on, we can see a little bit more as well. So a lot of this I've pre-filled just to make this a bit quicker. But one thing to highlight here around the postcode is that we can use regular expressions or regex patterns to make sure that the data entered is really in any format that you would expect it to be in. Again, making it quick and easy for you to get the right information back from your customers. As we go forward, we'll see a few more regular expressions and validations here. On the next page, we can see a few more things that are interesting. Firstly, here, I need to select a business type. Now, importantly, this is going to drive who needs to sign the authorization on this form. So, for example, if it's a partnership, I need both partners. If it's going to be a company, I may have a bit more information that's going to highlight exactly what the customer needs to do and who's going to need to sign. I'm going to keep it simple and use a sole trader. And again, enter a few more fields. Once we get to the authorization, this is really important because this is going to be who is actually going to be able to sign on behalf of the company to change the direct debit details. And when we get to this page, this is really interesting for a couple reasons. So this is asking if the facility that we are essentially acting on has joint and several liability. Now, what that means in the real world, if it does, it means that you may need two principals to actually sign the direct debit form as well. So this is highlighting we can have a conditional page, which is really cool. And as well, though, we can have conditional signatories as well that will actually have to sign the document. In this case, we're going to keep it simple, though, and say there is no joint and several liability, in which case, when we click through, we can really just see a summary of all the data that we've entered. So we can review the data here. If we needed to, we could easily click the little pencil and go back and make any changes. But in this case, I'm ready to just click submit.
That's incredible. So we're essentially, not only is there conditional pages, being showed or hidden, in a very, very modern kind of form. But we're actually choosing who's going to be signing the document based on the input in the form as well.
Exactly right. Yeah, really powerful. Cool. So let's go ahead and click on submit. And this is where we would usually go straight into signing, but we're going to have a little look at the ID verification step here. And there we have it. So I've clicked it. I now need to go through the ID verification step to make sure that I'm the right person signing this document that has the authority to do so. So when I click on continue, we'll see we support a lot of countries around the world, and we support things like driver's license, passports, or digital IDs from many of those to validate the person's identity. As I'm in Australia, I'm going to use our digital ID integration. And this is a great way to identify your users. Now, there's two things. Not everyone will have used this. So if they're new to digital ID, they can click on new. And you can see they can select any two forms of ID that are listed here to be able to identify themselves. So very much like a 100-point ID check you might do in your branch of a bank or wherever else you may need to identify yourself. I'd be able to put the data in, have it validated against the database, and then confirm my identity. Now, a real benefit of this is for you as the customer that owns the web form, you don't have to store the sensitive PII when this is done. You essentially just get a token, so you know you have the right person signing the document. In this case, I've used it before, so I'm going to click on connect, and I'm quickly going to go ahead and just pop in my mobile number, click continue, and that's going to actually just pop up directly on my app. So I'll just pop my phone up on the screen over here, and we'll see I've got a push notification from Digital ID. I tap into that. It authenticates me with Face ID, and then it lets me know that it's going to validate or pass some information rather about me to DocuSign. It's really going to be the name over here that's most important. So when I click allow, you can see that it's verified, and immediately the page refreshes in the background to take me through. And as this processes, it's important to note one of the important things it's checking is the name match, as you can see there. So if you know that the person, Martin Ripple, should be the one signing, you can make sure that the ID used matches that person as well. So now that we have been identified, we straight into signing. We can make sure we capture the person's consent to use electronic signatures, and they can click continue. And the first thing you'll see, this is already in mobile-friendly mode. So the great thing with that, and if I just use a little shortcut here, what I mean by that is that even in signing, it's not just the web form, but even the signing that's completely mobile responsive, and the text will reflow compared to if I was on a phone versus a tablet, etc. And if I go through, I can just scroll as usual, sign as I would with DocuSign, and continue going through the form. Now, another important thing we're showing here is smart sections. You'll see I have 3 smart sections, and this one actually says I need to expand it to then go ahead and sign. And you can essentially see these expand or contract on demand, again, making it much easier to view in complete forms on a mobile phone. So I'll go ahead, sign again, click finish, and essentially at that stage, I'm done with the signing. And the next thing I'm going to see is going to be a thank you that I've completed the form. And there we have it.
I love that. So not only is it a great mobile experience for the actual form itself, but the whole signing experience is completely mobile as well. On top of that, yeah, I love that. I mean, on top of that, the whole identity verification process, I mean, you're taking the rigor of government approved IDs, the whole checks around that. It's the best of both worlds. So you've got the government approved ID, and without the need to actually store them, archive them, destroy them, anything like that. That's all not your responsibility anymore. So DocuSign handles all that for you. Really important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So there we've looked at the end user experience. Let's very quickly look at what it looks like to administer these. So those of you familiar with DocuSign will know this screen, but you may not have seen this Forms tab before. If I come into here, it's easy to click on New, and I could start by creating a web form straight from here. But today I'm just going to look at the form that we were actually working on before. Can click on Edit, and we'll see essentially what the setup looks like. You'll see down the left here are all the different sections you just watched me go through from the end user perspective. If I expand one, I can see all the fields in it. If I wanted to quickly add a new section, it's as simple as clicking on the plus button, saying new section, because I'm real boring. And I could then start adding questions in here directly with a few clicks. Now, if I didn't want to do that, though, it's just as easy to drag and drop fields between sections to really make sure you have everything in the exact order you want it to be in, to be really as mobile friendly and as consistent for the user as possible. Now, let's say we want to create some rules. I'm going to just jump down to what we looked at around the joint and several liability over here. And you can do this from any field, I should say. But on this one, I have some rules set up. I'll just edit the one that we had. And essentially what we've said is that when this field is selected on yes, so the answer is yes, show this page over here. And you can see that I can click into that and I can show entire pages based on a condition, or actually just the fields that have not really been used yet. So really, really good. Now, if I wanted to be a bit more complex, I can click plus, and I can then actually add an and or condition as well. So to create a little bit more complex rules there. Now, let's say we're happy with the form. Let's just have a quick look at what this really, or how this really relates to the DocuSign e-sign template. So if I just jump on to signature at the bottom left here, you'll see it's easy to map exactly which of the recipients of the envelope essentially is going to complete the form. And I can make some changes. I can see the template here, and this is where I could edit the template that sits behind it. And importantly, we can map the fields. So I'll click on this little pencil. We'll see over here on the left, these are the web form fields that the user will actually complete. And these are the template fields in DocuSign that the text will merge into. And if these are automatically done for you, but if I just click out of it, you'll see that it's really easy to remap these if you actually ever needed to change that on the fly for any reason. With that said, I'm going to click cancel out of that. Now, once you've actually gone and completed the form, you're ready to do it, you'll actually go ahead and activate it. And once it's activated, we can actually go ahead and get a URL. So with the activated form, I can then come up here, click on the three dots, click on Get Form URL, copy it straight from there, or even just open it if I want to test it immediately myself. So really quick and easy to set up and then deploy those URLs or forms as well.
So you're literally just putting that link on your website instead of your old fillable PDFs or whatever processes you had before that, right?
Absolutely right. So yeah, none of that, no HTML development, nothing like that really required to set up a form like we just looked at. And
so we get the great form, a great modern experience to capture the data. And I guess that's a good segue onto what happens with that data and how do we actually manage that data and the automation after the signing happens. So that's where I'll jump in and I'll show you a little bit about that. We have a great capability in DocuSign to do the automation for you after we've completed a web form and signed, and I'll show you a teaser of that today. We call it agreement actions. What it is essentially the ability to create a rule, a business rule, to capture the data, to capture the documents, whatever you need to do. And it essentially follows a very straightforward format. There's a trigger to say, if it's from a web form, if it's from a sender, if a certain field matches a value. So Is it a loan document? Is it a HR document? Whatever it is, then you can decide what you want to do next. And then from there, we can simply export it to the data as a row to a single spreadsheet. So you may have all this data being collected into a spreadsheet, or we can archive those signed PDFs into, say, SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive. We support a whole bunch of them out of the box. If you're looking for any more advanced options, we have a connect capability that connects to your webhooks, and that's at the more advanced end. But the point is, we can automate a lot of this process for you with a simple deployment with that web form. And that's really the point of this automation process here. Thanks, Marty. That was a great session. I really enjoyed that. And I think it's really important to look at that new great capability that we have with web forms, but not only that, see how we can fit into a real life process that we have there and really enhance not only the mobile experience, but the rigor with identity verification and the automation of all the data management that happens afterwards. Thank you very much, Marty. It's been a pleasure, and hope you all enjoyed yourself today with this session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mo. Thanks for having me. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. See you later.
Bye.